Hello there, you luscious and glorious listeners. My name is Aaron,
And my name's Dave.
and this is Super Pod Saga. If for any of your first-time listeners, go ahead and pull up a chair, take a seat. We've got complimentary coffee and Oreos here for you. This is the podcast where Tommy and I pick a different video game topic to discuss each episode. And we'll talk all about that topic until there's just nothing at all left to discuss about that, and we'll kick it out the door and move on to the next one. Tommy couldn't be with us today because he put some trash in his recycling bin, and now he's laying low to avoid a warrant for his arrest. But I'm not alone today. I've got an awesome guest for everybody. Dave with Remember 64. How are you, man?
I am very, very good and super happy to be here. And also, I made sure that my trash and recycling was separated, so that's why I was able to arrive this evening.
You better, goddammit. You got to make sure to call your local centers to see if those plastics are recyclable or something. I don't know.
Gotta look at the numbers. There's like a number
Yeah.
system or something. I don't know how it works. Everything that is somewhat plastic just goes into recycling, whether they like it or not. So that's how our household works anyway.
Right, dude. There's a number on it. Just put it in the trash. It's not worth it. It's
Exactly.
not worth the jail time.
Yep.
Well, yeah, man. Tell us all about yourself and your show and where the good listeners can find you.
Oh, of course, yeah. So Remember 64, as you mentioned, is my latest venture into yapping into the void of nerdy topics and video games. As you may guess from the title, it is a show that is going through the Nintendo 64's library game by game, sometimes a couple at a time. But essentially, I'm just going to go back 25 years or so and make my way through the library. I'm someone who had a Nintendo 64 growing up, and multiple friends did, but I have a pretty limited scope of what I played. And already, only just less than 1 year since launching the show, I've already played games I haven't played before, ones that I thought I played, ones that I just had no idea were even games, and have enjoyed almost all of them. So yeah, Remember 64 is my latest venture. You can find it anywhere if you search it on podcast apps. And at Remember 64 Show is where you can find it on social media. And yeah, pretty much almost all the apps out there is at Remember 64 Show. Yeah.
Hell yeah, I like that idea of just an all Nintendo 64 show because there's a lot of real hidden gems on that thing. What was the last one you played? It was like Buck Bumble or something like that?
Yes, we just did Buck Bumble. I had Stormageddon on the show, and when I'm reaching out to guests, I sort of say like, hey, what do you want to play? Because it's easy to say like, let's play Mario 64, let's play Mario Kart, and all those. I did a couple of those when the show first started to get some heavy hitters out of the way, but like these sort of middle titles or hidden gems are just like exactly what I'm looking for. Funny enough, based on what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes, but Buck Bumble is like a perfect example of that, where it like sort of feels like Star Fox 64, but is also its own thing. Has a pretty cool personality. It's it's not a perfect game, and not a lot of these like early 3D games are, but I would say it's actually one of the biggest surprises that I've had so far going back through this library. And it was the first time I played it, and honestly, for a couple of days I couldn't put it down. So it's highly recommended. That is our latest episode, and we're now into the 20s of the games at the moment.
Well, that's cool. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, super fun. It's honestly, it's been eye-opening. The one other game that I will mention that we played last year was Mission Impossible, which I tend to remember being complete garbage. And then I played it, and again, it's not great, but it's much better than I thought it was going to be, and much smarter and more interesting than I thought it would be, and has a whole lot of like fun little like hidden gems in it and stuff. It's another title that's like worth revisiting for sure. If you haven't played it before, if you did in the past, Mission Impossible and Buck Bumble are like top of the list right now for me for pleasant surprises.
Is that based on the movie Mission Impossible, I'm assuming?
It came out around that time, but it's still Ethan Hunt is like the character that you are, but it's not based on the actual like movie locations or any of that kind of stuff. It's just an excuse to have that title on a I would say like puzzle action game, I would call it, sort of
Ooh.
stealth puzzle action game. It mixes a lot of things in there, but for the most part, it works pretty well. It's rough around the edges because it's really early N64 as well, but worth taking a look at least.
Nice. Again, for those who are pretty new to the show, you can find Super Pod Saga mainly on Twitter. We have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Tumblr, and YouTube and all that stuff, but I tend to forget about those. We are mainly on Twitter, but you can also just go to our website, superpodsaga.com, and literally everything is there. You can find all of our social medias, all the different apps the show is on. You can comment on all of our stuff, look at the blog. We post stupid stuff. I posted a thing on the blog about the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure because I miss it so. I have fond memories of that and dreams. Yeah, what are we talking about today, Dave?
I come into this talking a lot about the N64, but some of my friends who are also gamers call me Indie Dave a lot of the time because I seem to always have one or two, sometimes three indie games on my rotation that I'm playing, and that's been going on for a good 5-6 years now at least. And I think that as big as the indie market has gotten, as great as that is, because you can get more exposure to all these great, interesting games and ideas, I think there's a few out there, definitely more than a few, that are sort of hidden gems as well. So hidden gem indie games, I think, is where I think we're going to go with this. And, maybe there'll be a couple titles that people are going to hear or have heard from. But honestly, anything that we mention, anything that I mentioned for sure, like it's like a must play, whether you've heard about it or not. So yeah, indie hidden gems.
Yeah, one of mine I feel like is a hidden gem because not a lot of people talk about it, but it was one of those Xbox Live games with gold. But God damn it, I'm going to talk about it anyway because people need to know all about it. But you are my guest, and yeah, what's you can go first if you like.
Ooh, I am quite privileged. Thank you. I'm gonna go with before we get into sort of like the ones that I think a lot of people haven't heard of or may not have as much exposure. I'm gonna go with two that are pretty much my favorite indie games of all time. One of them, I'll start with first, is the reason why I'm into indie games, I think, in the first place, and that is called Thomas Was Alone. And that is a brilliant game by Bithell Studios. Anything that studio makes and Mike Bithell makes, I am there day one, just like I am with Supergiant Games, which are the people that made Hades, which at this point, I think everyone's heard of Hades. But Thomas Was Alone, the reason why it's sort of a hidden gem now is because I think it's like 11 or 12 years old at this point. But it's on pretty much every system you can think of, every console, every way you can play it. It's available. It's just a really, really touching, fun puzzle game that makes you care about shapes. And I'm pretty much going to leave it at that. And has really good writing, really great narration. And that's why I love indie games, is because of that. I think it started with that. I don't know if you've played it before or not.
I've seen it before. Yeah, I remember seeing that on the Xbox One years ago.
Yeah.
And I meant to check it out a long time ago, but I never have because a lot of other stuff came out between then.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you can sit with for just like, I want to say it's maybe a 3 or 4 hour game. Like, it's not very long. It's what Mike Bithell and his studio did first. Like, this was like his first sort of big release, and it's like, it's been out for so long and it's so successful. I just think, like, at this point, it hasn't really been at the forefront for so long. So I think I wanted to mention that. And then another one, which maybe people have heard of at this point because the company was now purchased was purchased by Netflix last year, the year before, but that is Oxenfree. And it is an awesome storytelling, thriller, horror type game, point and click adventure to an extent. But I just love the way it looks. I think the writing and the voice acting is incredible. One of the best soundtracks I've ever listened to. I waited way too long to play this game. I think I bought it for like a couple bucks, like 3 or 4 years after it came out. And I am in love with it. And I cannot wait for the sequel. So that is Oxenfree. Probably the two on my list that people may have heard of over other ones. So yeah. Nice.
Yeah, Tommy, my co-host, he really, really loves Oxenfree. That's one of his favorite games ever. He doesn't ever stop talking about that. So that's cool you mentioned that one.
I was so excited that in 2022 it was supposed to be released, the sequel. And like a lot of things over the last few years, it got delayed, but that's totally fine. It's like all these big titles are coming out even this year in 23, and it is still my most anticipated title just because I love that first one so much.
I was looking at other games that that Bithell Games has made, and they have this one on Steam called the Solitaire Conspiracy, and it's just a
Oh,
bunch of solitaire and shit, and it
so
looks really
good.
cool.
It's
Yeah,
so good. It's like it's solitaire, but with like it's sort of like a versus solitaire, and it's
ooh,
yeah. They basically made a new version of solitaire. That's essentially what it is. And there's like this sort of sci-fi story that goes along with it. It's a really cool game that came out a couple years ago. It's great.
where the hell? Where's the wish list button? There we go.
There it is.
Awesome. The first one I had is one that I discovered maybe I forget if it was last year or the year before, but it's still one of like the best indie games I've ever played. And Yoku's Island Express is what it is.
Ooh, yeah, I've
It's
heard of this. I have not played that though.
it's unlike anything else I've ever played because it's a Metroidvania at heart, but it's also a pinball game, which is really really cool because like to instead of just running and jumping like you would any other Metroidvania, there's little paddles and bumpers and shit all over the place, and you'll navigate your little beetle guy Yoku. He's the new mailman for I forget what the island is called. It's like Mokumana or something like that, and yeah, you got to get him around to deliver mail and flip him up with flippers, and he'll go through little tunnels and collect little bits of fruit, and he'll unlock different abilities. Like you get a vacuum that you use to suck up explosive slugs, or you'll get a what is it called? Little noisemaker to wake up sleeping guys, and there's just a bunch of other cool stuff. And then there's lots of little unlockables that you can find. Or, I shouldn't say unlockables. Lots of little secrets hidden all over the island, where like any other Metroidvania, I guess, once you get new abilities, you can go back to different areas of the island and find those cool little secrets and stuff. And it's a pretty short one too. It's about maybe like 6 hours.
Okay.
Something
Yeah,
like
that's pretty good.
something like that, like 6 or 7 hours. But it's lots of fun. There's some really good boss battles in there too that also make use of the pinball mechanics, and it's a hell of a time, dude. And it's usually on sale for pretty cheap. Like, it's made by the people that developed, what is it called? Overcooked and a good bunch of other games.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, it's on sale pretty frequently. I think when I got it, it was on sale for just $3,
Oh,
and it's the best
deal.
read. Other than maybe like buying 3 Arizona teas, it was the best $3 I've ever spent.
I mean, you do
So
get a
good.
lot of liquid with those teas, so fair enough.
Yeah, you do, dude.
I've heard about this game like multiple times, and for whatever reason, has never been sort of like, oh, I need to go and wishlist it at the very least, and I never have. Even at full price, only $20 on Switch, or at least it is in front of me when I quickly look for it. And I love the way this game looks, and I love that, like, similar how I just said, Solitaire Conspiracy sort of did like a new sort of solitaire. This is like another way to have fun and new ideas with pinball, which is awesome.
Yeah, and all the different characters are so cool. Like the mayor of the island, I forgot what his name is, and there's like the mailman that trains you. There's all sorts of really sweet characters on there, and the music is really good because there's all sorts of different little. There's like a snowy mountaintop area. There's like a volcanic area, and then there's just like beaches all over the place. So it's got like a tropical like island kind of theme to it, but
Nice.
it's so much fun. And yeah, I mean, if you want to pay full price for it, absolutely go for it. But it's on sale pretty frequently, so it'll be the best $3 or $5 you've ever spent.
Yeah.
Whenever you buy it.
Yeah, it seems like it's on pretty much everything. So at some point, a sale's going to come up. So,
Oh
so
God, yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the same with I think some of these titles that we're going to talk about. My next one, again, this is funny actually. It just happens to be at the top of the list. We're talking about stuff that is doing something new with a familiar formula, I guess you could call it, or game. But this one's new. It only came out, I want to say, in October or November of 2022. It's a pretty new game, but it's called Cursed to Golf. And it is,
Oh,
yeah, it's a
part of that.
roguelike side-scrolling golf game. That's essentially what it is. And it's like arcade golf, I guess you could call it. Like, so if you've
Cool.
played Stickman Golf on your phone at any point in the last decade since that game came out, it's that view and that sort of idea where you have all these really wacky golf courses and holes where you can go up, down, you can take portals, you can do all these types of crazy, there's spikes, there's water, there's pits, there's all these crazy things going on. But essentially you're a golfer that got zapped by lightning on the 18th hole when you're about to win a championship, and you get stuck in the underground, and you need to shoot your way out of the underground in order to live again. You're cursed to golf. You've been cursed, and now you need to golf to get out of it. But what's cool is that like there's all these abilities, but it's like a card system, so you can unlock different cards. You can do them where the ball will stop in midair and drop straight down. You can do it after you hit the ball where you can make it change direction. You can do one where it splits into 3 balls, and whichever one lands where you want it to land, you can play that one instead. But the most, I mean, not the most, there's a lot of interesting parts to it, but the cool part about it as well is that you're not trying to get like the best score. You're not trying to get -1, -2, get par, any of that kind of stuff. You start with, I think it is 9 shots, and you need to finish each hole within that shot amount. So you need to not be cursed or not die, essentially, to survive and get to the next hole. But along your way, you can hit like little statues that add +2 or +5 or +1 to your total, so that you can extend your life essentially in that hole, and then it resets every hole that you get. So and every time you die, you take a little bit of currency stuff back with you. You take cards that you unlock back with you, and then you start all over again, and all the holes look different, just like roguelike games do. It's super fun, has tons of personality, looks really great. The writing is super fun, great music. It's a great time, and it's like the newest one on the list of stuff I'm talking about here, and I think it's great. Curse to Golf is highly recommended, and I think I played it on Switch, I believe. So that's a good place to have it too. So yeah,
That one's also been on my wish list for a long time.
yeah, it's sweet. It's sweet. It's pretty new, so finding it on like a super sale or whatever is less likely. But I think either way, you can. I found myself like losing a hole, for example, like not surviving and being like, I knew I could have done that, and then I go on and play like 5 more holes, and there goes 2 hours of my life. So it was a lot of fun. I had a blast with it.
Oh yeah, I'm not usually a big sports guy, but there's something about golf video games that I can't help myself. I
Yeah,
don't know what it
man,
is about it.
the whole like Mario Golf stuff, like I had
Mm.
pretty much all. I love those games, the 64 one, the Game Boy ones especially. I played the hell out of those games. And this isn't quite that, but you get that sort of like cartoony, arcadey feel to it as well. It's golf is just an excuse for them to do like a really cool roguelike idea. And I think they somehow it actually works. Golf and roguelike games somehow actually works. I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Nice. Ooh, and it's published by Thunderful, who also develop published the ever awesome Steam World series. That's awesome.
Yes, and the Steam World series is great. Yeah.
Yes, that's like one of my favorite series ever,
Yeah, they're
dude. Oh
so
my
good.
god.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of not speaking of Steam World, here's another. I swear I didn't pick these because they're almost the same, but the next one I had was a game called Beast Breaker, and
Ooh, I don't know
it's
what this
another
is.
all yeah, it's another almost pinball kind of game, and it's pretty different. It's like a turn-based pinball monster fighting kind of thing, I guess. But the main character you play as, he can equip different weapons and different abilities that'll kind of affect what he can do on his turn. Because basically, it'll be like you'll get a certain number of turns, and then the enemy will do something. But basically, the enemy has all these different all these different points on their body that that can be broken if they take a certain amount of damage. So like there will be, say like you're attacking their claws. The outside of their claws will be protected by invulnerable scales, but like on the inside they'll have, I guess, like little smaller bits that can be destroyed in like 3 hits. But then like
Yeah, like a weak point almost. I'm looking at a couple of the screenshots. It's kind of cool.
yeah, and there'll be like bigger, like the pink points are their like super weak points, where if you break those, it'll start breaking up big chunks, like bigger chunks of that part of the enemy as opposed to doing like smaller bit by bit, if that makes any sense at all. But
Yeah, no, I mean, wait, like looking at it, like it's interesting how it's broken down because there's all these little like small parts, and then there's larger ones on the inside, and it's like you have to chip away to get to the big part. But once you do get to the big one, it seems like it's sort of like you're explaining, it sort of like explodes out from there almost in a way, and it's funny because like it's hard to sort of describe it, but then when I look at the screenshots of it, I totally get what you mean and can totally see it, even though the game's not even in motion. Like I can totally see what you're saying. I have never heard of this game. This looks amazing. I love the way it looks too. It's great.
yeah, there's another one that I got that was on sale for like $3, I think, and yeah, there's all sorts of different weapons you can equip. Like there's just like a sword, there's an axe, there's a bow, there's a bunch of other stuff, and each one kind of changes the way you play because like the sword is just probably to go back and look at like how they play, but like the sword is just you run into it and you damage it, and then like the bow works a little bit differently, I forget, but there's all sorts of other little abilities too, like you can get like a little like a spin attack or like a chain lightning attack and stuff like that. But yeah, Beast Breaker, it's awesome, and then the visuals look great, all the characters are cool. There's anybody that listens to the show knows that I'm a fucking sucker for cooking mechanics in the games. And you can cook food in the game sometimes, and I love that. And you
Nice.
can also upgrade and craft new equipment with junk you find around the field and on the map and stuff like that. And before you do fight the enemies, basically you'll be on this like grid where in like an XCOM kind of way, most of the map is not really foggy, but it's like blacked out, and you basically have to like track the monster and find it and try to ambush it, because like if it attacks you're at like a huge disadvantage because I think it'll attack you first, and you'll be in its huge like attack area, like line of sight kind of shit. But yeah, it's cool. You can like set up little traps for it on the field and catch it off guard and then just beat its ass. It's
Nice.
super. And if you like pinball, yeah, it's super
Yeah,
fun.
it kind of it's got like a pinball feel to it too. Just by I just hit play on a couple like short videos here and stuff. It looks. This is man. All right, we're gonna load up our wish list tonight, aren't we?
For real, dude. Yeah.
Mission accomplished already. Played a couple games in. Oh man. Okay, so my next one was my game of the year for 2021. I absolutely loved this game. Indie games often are my favorite. It's just they always do something different. It was again this year an indie game, but this is one I heard almost nobody talk about, and I just loved it from start to finish. It is called Unsighted. And Unsighted is seriously like it's got a mix of a bunch of different genres in it. It's like a twin stick shooter in a way. It's an adventure game. It has exploration mechanics to it. It's pixelated and looks like it's 2D, but it's like a 2.5D thing, so you can actually get some verticality to your fights. There's a bunch of different weapons you can use. There's a blocking mechanic and a parry mechanic, and it's just super dynamic and fast. It always feels good when you're going to do a nice parry or jump out of the way and attack an enemy. It's set in a really, really interesting world, and it's so hard to sort of describe until you put your hands on it, but it really is one of the best feeling games that I've played in a long time. And it somehow, the sort of 2.5D pixelated feel and look like really, really works. And I absolutely loved it. Unsighted is highly recommended no matter where you play it.
Oh, by the way, we got Nave from Gaming Together just joined us. What's up, man?
I heard somebody was talking about Unsighted, so I just had to appear.
Have you played it?
Dude, I did a episode with Dave from Tales of the Backlog.
Oh my god, I
really liked it.
From like last year or something. I listened to you guys talk about that. That's right.
Yeah, I was randomly like I was in the Co-op Podcast Network, and you guys were like, "Hey, does someone want to quickly jump on?" And I was like, the first thing I did, I didn't even read what it was about. I just went and looked in here, and I was like, "Oh no, am I gonna join this recording mid-recording?"
It's all good. It's all good. So
It's all good,
okay,
dude.
so yeah, so I don't know if I described Unsighted properly, but I absolutely love this game. It was so much fun, and you played it too, I guess, right?
Oh yeah. It's really interesting because that's not really my type of game.
Right.
I really struggle with like 2D games, especially with like almost Twitch combat,
Yeah,
because I get
yeah,
frustrated fast. But that
yeah.
game actually has a really interesting and unique hook about it as far as the overall structure of the game is concerned.
Yeah, yeah. So the overall like structure, I was a little bit frustrated with the way they did it because it makes the game extra difficult. But
Yeah.
basically, you're like androids, like you're robots essentially in like a super future world. I can't remember exactly what the whole setup is. It's a very interesting setup, by the way, and a great story, I think, and ends off in a really touching way. But essentially, you have to collect these certain items in order to keep your friends and people that help you upgrade your items alive, but there's never enough out there in order to keep them all alive. So you sort of start losing people. And it's like, it's super sad because everyone's really nice to you and you want to help everybody, but you just can't. And you can change the setting where that's not necessarily as prevalent, which I did towards the last third of the game because I just wanted to get to the story and whatever. But like, I like that they at least give you that option, because it really
Yeah.
does take a lot of time and puts a lot of pressure and literally puts a clock on what you're doing. And I'm not sure that playing with a clock is really my favorite thing, but I do think it's still an interesting idea of what they did. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Put it in N64 terms, you're either an Ocarina of Time person or a Majora's Mask person.
You know what? That's very, very true. There we go. That's kind of how it is. You're right.
Well, shit. Did you have one for us, Nave?
Let's talk about Signalis. This is my number one,
Ooh,
technically.
nice.
Now, Signalis is a throwback to Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 era horror, and it borrows a lot from the original and the second Silent Hill, along with the second and third Resident Evil titles. And this game is one of the best kind of retro throwbacks that I've ever played. It also addresses a lot of the problems that people have with these older games. Whereas you play the older titles and the combat is especially clunky, and the way you control your character with the tank controls is really it's really aggravating once you start getting yourself into stressful situations. But this game ditches the tank controls and it streamlines combat in a way that makes the game so much more approachable. But it also keeps these really obtuse, but not too obtuse, not missed level puzzles, but it keeps these really obtuse puzzles where you will maybe have to keep a pen and a paper next to you for a few of these, but they're so rewarding and they're so fun, figuring out which items or which are keys for what kind of thing, or what are the patterns to remember as you trek across the horrible, desolate landscape that you're in. And the game's story is extremely vague and really interpretive in a way that evokes strong emotion, but also can be dissected in many different ways. And I think the game does have multiple endings and all of that stuff. And I'm sure this will be one of those games in the years that people will be making video essays about. But yeah, I mean, Signalis is fantastic. Anyone who knows my show knew I was probably going to bring that up.
That's a great game. I played that last year because it was like late last year, I think, late 2022 that it came out. That game is awesome. I loved it.
And it's on Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I played it. It
Fuck
was
yeah.
yeah, it's like super, it's very grim and dark and moody and all that. I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the mood for this. And then like 3 hours later, I was just still playing it. Like it's awesome. I love the way it just like feels. It's it's a horror type action game like you said, but I don't think it's like full of all these like crazy jump scares or any of that stuff. It just has a really good
Yeah.
vibe to it, and I appreciated what it was doing. And like you mentioned, the changes between like its inspirations and what the gameplay actually like feels like in Signalis. I think those changes make it an extra special title. I think so. I'm with you on that.
And it does take a lot from like when you play Silent Hill 2, I think there's genuinely only like one jump scare in that game, right? And it's like a totally optional thing you could walk past with the or maybe I'm thinking of Silent Hill 3, but there's a bathroom with the stall closed, and as everyone knows in these games, you rub your face on the wall and press A on everything to see if there's anything you can interact with. And you interact with these stalls, and none of them open. But as soon as you leave the bathroom, something slams really hard on the stall, and you go, and you run away because it's the only time you ever get scared that way.
Yeah, no, that's true. I can't remember if that's 2 or 3, but I know exactly which part you're talking about.
Speaking of spooks, Streets of Red. I don't know if you all have heard of that ever.
Oh, I think I have.
Yeah, it's basically just like it's a roguelike beat 'em up basically, and each of there's like 4 characters you can play as, and each one is kind of based on like another video game for the most part. Because like there's one character is based off of Shovel Knight, and he's got armor, he's got a shovel, he's got like a lightning, or he's got a like a headbutt attack and shit like that. There's another chick who's based on like like the beginning of Final Fantasy VI where they're in those mechs. She does magic and shit like that, and she's in a mech suit like that. And then there's another guy who's basically Link, like he's got like a grappling hook and a spin move. But there's some pretty sweet fucking bosses that are like during the battle they'll kind of evolve from like this stage to the next, and if you don't kill them fast enough, they'll evolve and just become fucking unkillable and beat the hell out of you. Like there's one that's just like a moth monster thing, and basically it starts off like looking a little bit like Rick from Rick and Morty, but then he just transforms more and more into this fucking awful moth creature, and that's a good one. It's co-op being a beat 'em up, which is really, really cool. And there's quite a few little unlockables, and yeah, it's awesome. It's definitely worth. I think it's like $12 normally. It's definitely worth.
Man, I'm looking at a couple of the screenshots, and there's like when you're saying there's inspiration of the characters. I see the Shovel Knight guy. I can see him in a couple of these shots. But there's a level that's literally like a representation. You can tell just by a screenshot of the first level of Turtles in Time, where the wrecking balls come down and slam on the ground, and you kind of have to work around them so your turtles don't get crushed. There's literally a level that's set up with the exact same view. It has the characters around it. It's, oh my god! I just anything that's going to reference Turtles in Time, I'm all for it. So that's amazing. I love how it's just having fun with those ideas. That's awesome.
I like this genre of indie game where all of these indie devs are kind of just working together, because you can see the what is this, Captain or Commando TV or whatever from his own games. But like there are a lot of these games. Like I think there's a Smash Brothers clone that's just got a bunch of these different characters from different indie games in them.
Yeah.
And I love this shit because this shit looks just like The Binding of Isaac in some of these screenshots.
Yeah, it does. It does. You're right. Yeah, it's got that sort of look to it. Yeah. It's got so much personality, even though it doesn't have like a ton of color, which is cool.
Oh, and so Aaron, the reason why I'm in here, by the way, not the reason why I'm in here, but the reason why I noticed this was going on was because I went to that Co-op Podcast Network. I saw a tweet, so I had to confirm it was you before I tagged you in the retweet. But you Fuga Melodies of Steel. I was like, there was one person who was like, I know that game.
Oh, yes.
in here.
Oh,
and so
Fuga
that's what I was
2.
looking for. Yep.
Oh my
and I saw
God.
the release date is May 11th, 2023, so I retweeted it.
Ooh,
Tagging you.
soon.
Oh my gosh. And it's coming to fucking Game Pass, dude. Hell yeah, dude.
Dude,
Man,
we're eating
Game
good.
Pass is so good for indies and smaller titles like this, or it's quote unquote smaller, lesser known, I guess you could say. Like, I love it for that reason. Like, sure, big titles are great and everything, but honestly, like just having all this variety and all these types of games in here, that's why I could never go without it at this point.
Oh yeah, especially if we get Fuga too, dude. I don't know why I didn't put that on my list, but that's one of the most underrated indie games ever. God damn it. I think.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that. I've never played it.
Yeah, I think we're on Dave now.
Yeah, it is my turn. Yeah. Or I don't know. I'm going to assume that it is. Okay, so my next one actually has 2 titles to it. It has a sequel, but I heard about the first one years and years ago, and I would say just stick to the sequel because it sort of irons out some of the rough around the edges parts of the original, but it is Hand of Fate. So I would say Hand of Fate 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, these games are super fun. Just the concept of it, the conceit of what you do in the game is enough was enough for me to just like buy it blindly the first time and just play it from there. But essentially, if anyone doesn't know, you guys clearly sound like you do know.
Oh my god.
But
Yep.
yeah, so essentially you're sitting at a card table with I can't remember if he's like a sorcerer or a wizard or something like that. And you're playing a card game, but the card game is sort of like a roguelike path that you're walking on. And every time you move your little wooden character one card at a time, it flips over and gives you a scenario. Sometimes it is, do you want to save these people? Do you want to give them food? Do you want to give them money? Do you want to buy something? But at least half the time, that is essentially you sort of get zoomed into the card and it ends up being a combat scenario. So you'll have your character and you'll have to fight off, I don't know, sometimes it's skeletons, sometimes it's bandits, whatever it is. And in Hand of Fate 2, they really like expand what these stages look like and what types of enemies there are. But they're like these mini battle arenas, essentially, that you need to kill a boss or you need to kill a group of enemies. But you're only able to use what you've collected up until that point. So if you've only picked up a dagger, you have to try and figure out how to survive this fight with just a dagger. Maybe you found a shield along the way and now you're lucky you can block a couple of, arrows that are coming at you and stuff. You can pick up spells and you can light guys on fire. They can light you on fire. But essentially you're just going through all these different stages and trying to, I guess, fend off all these enemies when you do battle scenarios. And then when you're done, you go back to the table and it sort of keeps going from there. But it's really interesting because every card does something different. You'll see some repeats and stuff. But again, in the sequel, there's a lot more variety to it as well. But I think that if a roguelike game and card elements and the battle system, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think the battle system is a little bit, it's sort of like a lighter version of what the Arkham games are. Is kind of how the battle. It's like a third person. Yeah, there's dodging, there's parrying, there's
the stun attack.
Yeah, exactly. There's all that different type of stuff, and it's really fun. Sometimes it's really difficult. Sometimes just luck of the draw of what items you pick up will help you out. Sometimes they won't, and sometimes you'll have to go in with. You literally can't get hit, otherwise you'll die in one shot, or you'll come in to the battle scenario and you're poisoned before you even start, so you have to fight really fast to try and survive. Like all these different scenarios that really put you on your toes and keep things interesting and fresh. And yeah, I think both Hand of Fate games are great, but I would say if you could find two out there, I highly recommend it. I love both these games.
They're so flavorful. Yeah. Like a lot of these cards and scenarios and stuff like that. It's just so fun and silly.
Yeah, and it has great personality. The sort of sorcerer guy that you're playing against has really good lines, and he's really like this dark, mysterious character, and it's a really cool setting and something I've never seen before, which is why I want to recommend it.
I remember getting the first game from Xbox Live Games with Gold fucking years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just. It was so different from anything else I'd ever played, but it was almost similar to one of my other picks I have on here. But we'll maybe save that for later. But maybe fuck. No, I'm just gonna get it out. Armello, everybody. It's another Games with Gold. It's another card game, board game. More people need to play it. God damn it! It's so fucking fun. Have either of you guys ever heard of or played Armello?
I have. I've heard good things, but I have not played it.
Yeah, I redeemed it for Games to Gold, and I was like, into the forever bin with you, where one day maybe.
Dude, oh, it's so much fun. So it's mostly board game, and what's cool is there's like 3 or 4 different ways that you can win the game, but essentially you start off by picking a character, and there's different races. Like there's like 2 or 3 characters of each race. So there's like rabbits and bears and wolves and shit like that. And each character has their own like special ability. Like there's there's like a thief rat. I forget what his ability is. There's the archer wolf lady who, like, before combat will deal 1 damage to anybody she fights, and then there's all sorts of other cool shit. And then basically you'll go through the map or grid or whatever you want to call it, and you'll capture settlements just by moving over them. You'll capture a settlement which will give you gold every turn, and then you use that gold you use that gold to activate cards. And then there's also like, then there's just like, what are the card types? There's equipment. Those cost gold to equip. There's spell cards that cost magic points. There's some other type of, I think, traps or something like that. And there's a bunch of different kinds of cards, and you'll unlock more cards as you go through the game as well too. And the combat is pretty fucking cool because basically each character has their own unique kind of dice pool, where they'll have dice that turn into, attack symbols, defense symbols, or like moon symbols and sun symbols, which depending on like the time of day or something, they'll do different things. And there's all sorts of other like deep hidden mechanics, like explode pools, where if you roll like a certain symbol during this other complicated fucking bullshit system, it'll explode into an attack. Whatever. It's a fun game. It's even better if you have friends. It's like Mario, like how Mario Party, you just fucking hate your friends after it's all said and done. Armello is kind of the same way, except like you'll have a newfound respect for them because they either chose to sneak through the castle and assassinate the king to win, or they became the they had the most gold, so they won that way or something, or they purified the king or some shit. I don't know, but Armello is it's just a fun fucking time. It's so good. It's so hard to find a game online because nobody plays the game, and it sucks playing with the AI all the time because they're so fucking predictable and fucking stupid.
But that sucks.
I beg of you, everybody, play Armello, please.
Well, it says digital board game, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. And there's lots of dice, lots of cards. There's lots of like little RPG mechanics. Like you'll equip like different swords or pieces of armor or like other stuff that give you like passive buffs or like debuff your enemy. It's just, oh my god, it's so in depth and it's so much fun, dude.
Yeah, the company that made it is making a new game called Jump Light Odyssey, which seems to be a completely different type of game. It is Starship Adventure Sim. So you have like this giant starship, and like the quick video they have like up on their Twitter page and stuff. There's like multiple levels to it, and there's all these different like things you have to take care of, and all. That's kind of cool. It's got a great aesthetic, just like Armello does. It actually looks awesome, which always helps. Yeah, I've heard great things about this game, but no, I had never played it. It looks cool though. God. Damn cool.
Well, now that I know that Nave has it, well, I'm gonna spam you with invites every single day for the rest of your life.
Well, if it's online, then I mean, we can always have an episode about it,
dude.
Over there on the Game Together pod.
Ooh.
Fuck yeah, we should, dude. Oh my god, I could just babble on and on and on about that.
It's also on mobile too. When I'm looking at it, it's not just on Switch and stuff. Yeah, you can get it on the App Store. Yeah, it's on PC, Switch, and on, at least as I'm searching for it here, the Google Play Store and on the Apple App Store, which is kind of cool.
Son of a bitch, it is.
The only other board game that we've played is Monster Prom XXL. Which is fantastic. That's my number 4.
Oh, is it actually?
That's your.
Yeah. Really funny.
Do tell, because that sounds interesting? Question mark.
Well, so the whole concept of the game is you go to a monster high school and you need a date for prom, and you have to go into, there are different spots. It's essentially a board game where you pick where you're going to hang out. And so it's like you want to hang out in the bathrooms, then you get guts, because it takes guts to skip class, And so it's like, but it's so it's like, okay, this is a cute little concept. I'll play with my kids. No, these kids are doing drugs and fucking and doing all kinds of crazy shit. Everyone's drunk everywhere all the time. It's a goofy game. So it's more like Cards Against Humanity, where this game, it's like this game is, it seems like a game that could be played with kids, but no, don't do that. You have to explain a lot of concepts to them. But the game actually is pretty funny, especially because my co-host at my show, he's a lot more straight-laced than me, and a lot of the jokes got him. So, but his daughters were watching, and he's like, "Get out of here! You can't watch this.
Not for you.
Get out!" Holy shit!
Yeah, but it is
By
a
the
neat
way,
little game.
we are about halfway through. Do you fellas want to take an ad break?
Of course.
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll take an ad break. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Bamboo Toothbrushes. No, please give a hoot. Don't pollute. I don't know.
That's a good one. Bamboo is what all the cool kids are doing now, and why not also stick it in your mouth?
Is the toothbrush itself bamboo, or is it the bristles that are made of bamboo?
Excellent question.
That would hurt like a bitch. No, the actual like toothbrush part is bamboo, but the bristles are nylon, which I guess breaks down over time. I guess.
Science. If
It either does or don't.
although if the bristles are really intense, you're really gonna clean your teeth. I think isn't that how dentistry works?
That's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
Depends on how intense you want to get.
I didn't learn you had to switch out toothbrushes every now and then until I was like 20. So I was just using like one toothbrush for like 9 years, and it was just a rock.
It's all like, smashed down and shit. Like the bristles are all smashed.
They get calcified, man. They're fossils.
They're fossils. You pull an Indiana Jones, that belongs in a museum.
And one day I was brushing my teeth and peeing at the same time because, efficiency. And I accidentally dropped my toothbrush in the toilet. And I had to go get a new one. And I'm like, oh my God, toothbrushes don't hurt?
Well, you know what? I was a little worried the story was not going to go that way. So I'm glad that you went to go get a new one.
Yeah, but now my toilet clogs every other flush, so.
Same, dude. Fucking same. Sometimes the back part doesn't fill up, so you have to take off the back. You have to take off the lid on the back and then do like push the plastic piece, up. And then it fills up. Yep.
Yeah. You could buy a new one of those.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, inside the tank, the thing that fills up the water, whatever the level or whatever they call it. You could buy another one of those. Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. Hey, this episode brought to you by Toilet Levels.
And also toothbrushes that hurt.
That's two, yeah.
My co-host Philip, he made a YouTube video like 16 years ago where he broke his handle off his toilet, and he was like, I'm gonna make a tutorial on how to flush a toilet without a handle. And like he's like, if you break your handle, I know what you're thinking. How am I gonna flush my drugs? And he opens the toilet up, and he's like, no, it's just a pickle. Anyway, you gotta go. And I'm like, this is why he's my best friend.
And we're back. I guess it'd be Nave's turn. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Stanley Parable.
Oh man, dude, Tommy would be
will.
all over this shit. Tommy, that's his favorite game of all time.
Oh,
Here's
wow.
to you, Tommy.
Where is Tommy?
Rip Tommy. As we said in the beginning of the episode, he put trash in his recycling bin, so he's laying low to avoid the warrant out for his arrest.
That scumbag.
He's got 4 stars in like in GTA. He has to make that go down to at least 1 in order to come on the show, right? So
they've got the helicopters out and shit.
Yeah, the choppers are out. The cop cars are just driving like maniacs. Like, yeah, this is like GTA 3 style. Like, it's probably like that.
Fuck, dude. Here's to you, Tommy. We're with you in spirit, bud.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Stanley Parable.
Oh yeah, the Stanley Parable. That game's pretty good. You'd be surprised how many people don't know the Stanley Parable. Because I was talking about it's like, oh wow, back when it's getting re-released in the Super Deluxe Edition or whatever. Which everyone, if you've played the Stanley Parable and have not played the newest edition of it, go play it. It's essentially the Stanley Parable 2. Don't let it fool you with it being the same fucking game for like 25 minutes. Just play through a couple playthroughs, and then it's gonna give you some new content, and you're gonna love that new content. Video Game Donkey just made a video about this shit. Don't watch it though. Don't you fucking put your mouse down, put your phone down. Stop. Unless you're going to buy the Stanley Parable. Go play the game first, because it's it's only funny the first time. It's only funny the first time you experience a lot of these things. But this game will blow your mind. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this game is essentially a walking simulator before walking simulators existed. It was a mod originally for Half-Life 2, or probably maybe it was Half-Life 1, I don't know. And essentially it is a thought experiment about the mirage of choice in video games. And it really is probably one of the first real meta experiences that I've ever had on Steam. It is on consoles now and everything, so go get that Super Deluxe Edition and laugh your asses off. The developers of this game have thought of fucking everything. You will never outsmart these guys. There's an ending for everything.
Yeah, I gotta play this Super Deluxe Edition or whatever it's called. Like I gotta play that because the first one or whatever, the original, whatever you want to call it, is exactly what you're saying. It's genius. Like it's seriously genius. And it's I wonder if people haven't heard of it because it's like a pretty quiet game or because it was like a mod or something, but maybe I don't know, but I think if you've been around gaming long enough, then probably you've heard of it. But as far as like pulling the trigger and actually like playing it is like we've said with multiple of these titles, it's a whole other thing. But I think this game, like 100%, is worth it. It's so meta. It's awesome.
This is one of those games that you will get so much mileage out of just making your friends play it. Like inviting some friends over, inviting your mom over, just sit them down with the controller and be like, go. Because there's no fail state. There's no fail state at all. You just keep walking and doing what you want to do. Whether you want to obey the narrator or disobey the narrator, it's all up to you. And every single decision takes you somewhere else. It's kind of what the Dark Pictures Anthologies games want to be, but this game has perfected it. Ignore the fact that it's like fucking 15 years old.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't matter how old it is. Yeah, you're right.
I'm getting like the biggest hoot out of reading the fucking Steam reviews for this game. So
let's go.
Hold on to your hats, boys. So Abraham Lincoln says the narrator is so funny he makes me giggle like tee hee hoo hoo ha ha hee hee wahoo. and then Hot Jafar says he's basically singing, just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Basically, yeah, he's Terralol. He says narrator hot. He gave it 4 stars.
I'm saying Aaron, have you played the Super Deluxe?
No, I haven't even played the original one. I've heard Tommy talk all fucking day about it, and I've seen other playthroughs of it, but I've never played it before.
You said you've played the original?
No, I have not. I've just heard Tommy talk about it a lot.
Well, you specifically, I will buy this game for you, like right now. But so just for Dave, I guess there is a new ending in the extra content where at some point he starts looking at the Steam reviews of the game. It's so fucking good.
Oh man. Yes.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Yes.
That's cool as fuck, dude. That is so meta. I like how the developer name, by the way, is Crows. Fuck yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just called hot. It's called Hot Gas or whatever in every other edition, but if you're on the Steam version, it does say Steam reviews, but it's so funny.
That's so good. Man, it is such a smart game. Like I love that they've I think you're right. They've thought of everything, and that's why this game is special. Like it's so hard to explain, but like they have, and it's amazing.
Damn, is it? Yeah, it's Dave's turn. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I did Armello and then Stanley.
I'm gonna go with one that is a little bit newer. It is called. Now I don't know. I actually don't know how to pronounce the third word in this title. It is Terror of the Hemosaurus or Hemosaurus. I don't know.
That's been on my wish list for a while. Also,
hemoglobin. Maybe it's hemoglobin, so maybe it's Hemosaurus. Yeah, this is basically pixelated Rampage. The Rampage games. It's almost exactly what this is. I wouldn't say that it is that. So if you played Rampage, don't bother with this. I think this is on a whole other level of wittiness. Like there's actually a story here. Sure, it's goofy. Yes, it makes fun of humans and humans being idiots with climate change and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And really crappy cable news in North America and everything. It has all these like funny commentary things in it. But essentially, the game itself is you are one of 4. I think you can play up to 4 people as well. Giant monsters. Yeah, you can play co-op, which is great. There's a giant salamander that breathes fire because they all have like special moves. Essentially, they all have like finishers, I guess you could call them. You have like a meter that you build up. The salamander breathes fire. The Hemosaurus has like this shockwave that comes out of him. You can be a sloth. And then there is one more that I cannot remember off the top of my head. Either way, it is all pixelated. Oh, it's a Robo Hemosaurus. So it's just like all these other sort of games where there's always like a Robo version of every, like robot Godzilla essentially is what it is. You're going into all these different cities in around the world. I think or is it just US? I think it's around the world. And you're essentially just trying to topple all the buildings, eat as many people as you can, survive. But the reasons of why they send you into these cities is hilarious. They're like, we're trying to teach people a lesson that they can't take climate change seriously. All right, well, this is what happens if you don't. You die, and then you have to topple a bunch of buildings and just kill people. It's so funny. It has like it honestly, it feels like an SNES or NES game with the way that the sound is, the music, the presentation, but it plays really modern and plays really well. You can play it solo or with up to 4 people, and it's Rampage. It's not like Rampage games where there's like 110 levels or something per game. It's much shorter than that, but it's really worth your time if that's is like an itch that you want to scratch. You just want to domino some buildings over and see some flames and hear some pixelated voxels and things like that just explode. And there's a lot of really fun things you can do with it to create like combos essentially, and it like builds up your meter so you can use your special move more often. It's super fun. It came out in December, so it's really like a month and a half old. It's great. It's great. Cool. This is the same single person made this game. Same single person that I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago made Super Blood Hockey, which is essentially Blades of Steel, but super violent, like blood everywhere. You give your players steroids in order for them to keep playing. Like, oh, he broke his arm. Here, give him some drugs. Get him out there and just play. But it's like crazy, fast, violent Blades of Steel, like old school Blades of Steel. This guy basically takes that idea and that aesthetic and puts it in a Rampage-like game. So Terror of the Hemosaurus is awesome.
That sounds pretty fucking sweet. So my next one it's pretty new. It's called Luck Be a Landlord. It's only on Steam right now, I'm pretty sure, but it's the goofiest fucking thing. So it's entirely just a fucking slot machine, and it's played out like you just moved into a new apartment, and in order to pay for your apartment, you just constantly make money on this fucking slot machine, and every time you pay your rent will go up, and you'll have to keep going and going and going. Basically, there's I forget how many levels there are or whatever, but yeah, after you start off with pretty bare reels or whatever you want to call them, but after every spin, you'll pick a new symbol to put up there, and different symbols do different things. Like you'll get a chick that has a 10% chance to turn into a chicken. And then from there, the chicken has I think it's like a 1% chance to lay a golden egg, which a golden egg gives you like 5 coins or some shit. You can pick like a miner who destroys adjacent ore, which an ore, when it's destroyed, it has a chance of spawning like a different gemstone or something. And there's all sorts of goofy shit. There's all sorts of different synergies, and basically you wanna have this perfect synergy of like you wanna add symbols that destroy other symbols, because you don't want your reels completely filled all the time. You want to keep constantly churning in new shit. So like you'll have a monkey destroy any adjacent coconuts or bananas, or like have the cat destroy adjacent milk or some fucking stupid shit. And it sounds so fucking stupid, me describing it. It sounds like the lamest shit ever, but it's so fucking hard to put down, because it's just that. You just click spin, see what you get, and then you add more symbols to your thing. And then after, I forget however many turns, like you get, in typical roguelike I should add that it's a roguelike, by the way, too. There's permadeath, so when you die, you have to start all over. But just like in typical roguelike fashion, every so often you'll get to add what's called an item, which gives you different passive abilities. Like there'll be, I guess, like a 7, where if you get like 3 7s, it'll destroy all 3 of them and give you 77 coins. Or like you can get like a fucking honeypot or something. I forget what it all does. I haven't played it in a while, but yeah, it's ridiculous. It's only $10, but it's ridiculously fun. It's super simple, actually pretty fucking deep, and yeah, it's really fun.
It's also a demo on Steam that you could play,
Yeah.
according to my search, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to download the demo and play slots where I don't actually lose real money. So that's great. Also a bonus.
Digital money. Exactly, dude. You don't have to go Vegas vacation and end up on the $1.50 buffet.
Papa Giorgio.
Holy shit.
Man, that's great. That's cool. I've never heard of that. That's awesome.
It's got a lot of Steam achievements too, if you're into that.
Oh yeah, that's always a little bonus. Why not?
And fucking nobody has played the game, so each achievement will be a rare one.
Oh, there you go. Amazing.
What's the limit of how many Steam achievements you can have in a game?
Oh,
It's like 1 billion?
I don't know, but this game has a lot.
there's some games that have so many. Like I'm looking at a couple of the games I have in my library. I'm just like, I have 40 out of 60. Like, oh my god.
Well, this game has 186 achievements.
Oh my god.
Yeah, basically they're just like spinning different things. Like it'll be like have 3 or more bubbles destroyed during a spin, or like have a seed grow into a void fruit that isn't destroyed during the same turn, or like something about a Matryoshka doll or a fucking reroll capsule or something. I don't know. Buy it.
Yeah.
Buy it now.
Regardless, it doesn't matter. Just buy it.
It's so good. It's stupid, but it's good.
Stupid's okay.
Okay, Nave, hit us with one.
Speaking of stupid, I want to talk about an airport for aliens currently run by dogs.
Oh my fucking god! I'm looking at that right now.
That's not my choice, but we can talk about it if you want. It's just a dumb game where you go through different airports and everything's in an alien language and you don't know where you're going, and time is a physical thing that can change, and it's like everything is dogs, and they're JPEGs of dogs, and that's it. They're like 2-dimensional, obviously.
Like stock photos of dogs.
Yeah.
What is this game?
Never mind. This is my choice.
Oh my
This is
god!
fucking awesome, dude.
I mean, I love dogs, and can I submit my dog to this game to use as pictures? Because oh my god,
great.
So funny.
Bro,
that actually would be a great way for them to like get people like involved. I wonder if that's a thing. That's so funny.
There's a dedicated pet the dog button, but you can mash it, and every time you do that, a different hand comes out, so you can have like 800 hands petting the dog all at once.
Oh god.
This screenshot is it looks like they're in seats like on a train or some shit. And this is just this JPEG of a dog on top of the seat, dude. He's just fucking chilling.
It's really dumb. Yeah. One of the first interactions is like, I want a ticket. And the dog is like, do you want 1 ticket or 5 tickets or 100,000 tickets? And you're like, I want 100,000 tickets. And then it like fucking crashes the game with all the tickets that come out. They just spawn in front of you. And you can only hold 1. So you pick 1 up and walk away.
Yeah, there's a JPEG of a boxer dog, and it has 2 arms on either side of it of like a guy with huge muscles flexing. That's it. Just standing underneath an umbrella on a beach. That's it. That's the shot.
I need to own this game, dude. This sounds fucking awesome.
Oh my god. It's just like ridiculous scenario after ridiculous scenario. That's okay. That's okay with me.
I like how I'm looking at a screenshot where I assume they spray painted, because they've got a can of spray paint, I assume is what it is, and they spray painted the word dog, but it's all like it's like round and 3D looking.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
I love that I have not heard of most of the stuff you guys have brought up. Ridiculously great. Oh my god. Secret celebrity dog. Okay, we're just reading off of things from pictures.
You said secret celebrity dog?
Yeah, it just had like a little title underneath one of the pictures.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the name of a game or something.
No, okay. So I am I next? I feel like I'm next. I don't know. I lost track.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go with this one because I think it's pretty interesting. It's sort of a puzzle game, but it's an action game at the same time. It is called Fights in Tight Places. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This came
Nice.
out, I think, around the end of 2021, somewhere around there. And it's I said tight places, tight spaces. Fights in tight spaces. So you are a John Wick looking character. Everything is black and white and is on a grid, and you have a sort of semi-isometric view of this small, I guess, fight arena. You could be in the street, you could be on a stairs, you could be in the back of a truck, you could be in a bar, and you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies that are white and red. And you essentially have to use the moves that are available to you, which are, again, only available through cards, similar to Hand of Fate in a way. Yeah. And you have to use those cards and your movement on a grid pattern to try and defeat all of these enemies that are around you. They all have their own abilities. You'll learn sort of, some of them have certain moves, some of them have weapons, some don't. But you can also like use some of the cards will be like a dodge, for example. So if you see that someone is about to shoot you, you can dodge for your next turn, and that bullet will miss you and hit one of the enemies behind you. So it's sort of like a slow motion John Wick in a way, but you are literally every step that you're taking is sort of like turn based, and you have a certain amount of actions that you can take. You can unlock different cards, and you're just in all these cool like little scenarios. Like if you're in a bar, for example, you can pick up a bottle from the bar and hit a guy with it. It'll do a little bit more damage. You can do a spin kick at one point. You can jump off a wall and kick a guy. You can jump off a wall and dodge someone and go behind them. You can choke guys. You can take guns off them and hit them with a gun. You can throw them over a ledge. All these crazy different things. And it's super interesting. And then a cool part about it too is once you're done, it'll show you everything that you did in like real time, essentially. So you play it. Yeah, you play a level for like 25 minutes, which is, you're sort of really, really kicking ass through it, and you're really sort of trying to survive. And then you finish the stage if you survive, and it'll show you everything that you just did. It's a little bit sort of stop and go a bit because that's what all the actions are, but it's kind of just cool to see. And because everything is black and white and red, when you punch a guy, you see blood splatter. When you hit him, you can, like, guy's got glasses on, you knock his glasses off, you see them on the floor. Everything sort of stands out really uniquely as well. It's great. Fights in tight spaces. I don't know that I've heard anyone talk about this game, but I think it's really, really fun and really different as well. So yeah, that would be my I guess that's my final one for the episode, but that is something people should check out for sure.
It's like isometric, super hot.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Oh, damn it. Super hot. Exactly. Like it has almost the same aesthetic as super hot, except like less, I guess, voxel or pixelated, whatever that style is. Everything looks like I think they may have even mocapped people to get the motion. Like it's really, they look really, it looks really real or feels really real and everything. So, but yeah, very, very much a look and feel of super hot mixed with John Wick. And honestly, you can do even more than you can in super hot. Although that's part of the charm in super hot as well, is that like things are very simple, but also complicated. So also play super hot. Excellent game. So yeah, fights in tight spaces.
Super
Wishlisted.
hot. Super
Yeah, super hot.
Oh, yeah,
fights
yeah,
in
dude.
tight spaces.
Yeah, wishlisted for sure. That looks and sounds really fucking awesome. I like
Yeah,
that
it's
there's
super fun.
there's a card for suplex. I wish I had that in real life.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I do not want to pay this bill. Suplex.
Suplex. You've triggered my trap card. Suplex.
Suplex. You know what? I'm gonna reinstall this game. I'm gonna play this again. I'm doing that
Hell
right
yeah,
now. It's 1.6 gigs. It's super tiny.
That's it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's
hopefully
it. No, it's a super simple looking game, but it has so much more to it. Also great music, which is important for games like this. Like if you have sort of a simple aesthetic and all that, somehow like that music really needs to sort of catch you, and it never feels repetitive. It always sort of fits the scene that you're in. It's great. It's super fun. There's lots of variety too. But it is not easy. I will warn people that after you get through the first couple of stages, it gets tough. but it's super rewarding when you survive and you see all the guys on the floor that you just defeated. Yeah, it's awesome. It's super hot and super great.
What's interesting is I'm looking on cheer achievements right now at the game, and there are like hundreds of thousands of people that are registered on here, and only 408 people have played this game, and only one person has gotten all the achievements in it. And
Really?
all
Wow.
true achievements.
Wow. Yeah, so there are on Steam anyway, there are I think like 30 or 40 or something. Yeah, 40. And I'm only halfway through them and I completed the game. So it's very difficult, but rewarding. So that always helps.
Well, shit. Nave, do you want to go next, your last one, or do you want me to kill some time for you?
No, I can go. I have 3 sitting here. I think I'm gonna go with Proteus. I think Proteus is probably the least known out of these 3. Do you guys know Proteus?
Sick game, so good.
Nice.
That
We did an
sounds
episode
familiar.
over on our show about this, but this is an amazing boomer shooter with such eye-popping visuals and pulse-pounding fucking soundtrack that jumps from metal to hardcore EDM, very similar to like Doom and Quake and all of those good
Yes.
old games back in the day. This game does have multiplayer online, and it also has a level editor as well. So I played. There is an EDM artist called Funtcase, and he made a couple of levels. He made Dust 2 from Counter-Strike, but he also made Peach's
Oh.
Castle. So we had a fight in Peach's Castle. Me and Philip did.
Amazing. That's so crazy. I saw that there was a stage creator thing, but I didn't realize that like it got that wacky. That's amazing. Oh, dude, this game is so fun. I played the original Doom at one point last year, and then immediately went to play this right after, and it was like, oh, it's so good. It's such a cool like way to update those kinds of games.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It looks great too, which always helps. Has that sort of like middle ground feel where it feels like an old game, but definitely is new in the way that it plays and the way that it looks. Proteus is awesome. I love this game.
It's so gory and like
Yeah.
sloppy. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Nice.
I'm trying so fucking hard to find the game you guys are talking about. I googled Proteus game, and it brought me to this life simulator thing on Steam.
I think it's
And then I googled, and then I looked up.
DS.
Oh yeah, with the D. Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
And then
Also,
I googled,
it's on Game Pass. That's why I played it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is
oh,
on Game
fuck yeah.
Pass.
All right. And then the second time I googled Proteus Xbox, and then it took me to the Xbox store, but it was about a book called Proteus from the 80s. And then finally I found it. Yeah,
Maybe that's
does
its
look.
problem is that people can't find it.
Holy shit, that does look fucking sweet.
Yeah, it's intense as hell. It's great.
And it's multiplayer online through the whole thing. And there are people playing it. I mean, there were people playing it a few months ago.
Fuck, man. Yeah, you went on a really good last one. Mine's just Sky Rogue, dude. It's like roguelike Star Fox, basically, but definitely not no
What?
Proteus.
I have
Yeah,
not
dude,
seen
look-
this. What?
Yeah, Sky Rogue, and it's all like voxely and shit, and like there's different planes you can use and unlock that each have their own different attacks, and then like different guns and missiles and shit like that. But yeah, basically you just you launch from the little carrier ship, and you have different objectives like destroy the fuel tanks on this ship, or like destroy this windmill or some shit like that. And all the while you're doing that, there's other planes fly around that'll shoot at you, and like there'll be anti-aircraft cannons that are shooting at you and shit like that. And the music is awesome. It's just what you'd expect from that. It's like Nintendo 64-y kind of, and
Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah. I was hoping you
Yeah.
catch that.
It looks
Dude,
like those.
and-
You ever see those demakes that people make, like Bloodborne demake, and it looks like a
Yeah.
Ace Combat demake.
Yeah, oh, that's a good
Exactly.
way to put it. Yeah, nice.
And it's just so much fun, dude, because you just cruise around, and I mean you could just cruise around and take it all in, and just like blast some guys to bits, and then it's so quick, like it doesn't waste your time at all. Like you launch your aircraft, you go blow up like fucking 4 things, and then bam, you're on to the next level, and You can use your money to buy upgrades between levels, and yeah, it's on. I know for sure it's on Switch. I don't know about anything else, but it's definitely worth your money.
It's on pretty
it's
much
fun.
everything now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's on Xbox. I
Ooh,
see it here.
Yeah,
$20
man.
bucks.
You said roguelike, Star Fox, and I was in. So, oh, this is
Yeah, it's.
crazy cool.
I bought that a long time ago on Switch for when I still worked at the office, and I would play this all the fucking time. I don't remember getting very far because I would just like goof around mostly. I would just shoot and die, and then I would just like accidentally because the Joy-Con drift on my Joy-Cons was really bad, so I would
Oh no.
accidentally like loop-de-loop too hard, and then fucking just fucking nosedive into the water and die, or like, yeah, I would just die all the time because my Joy-Cons suck. But
One does not
uh,
simply loop-de-loop too hard.
I mean, you can barrel roll if you really want, but loop de loop is a whole other thing.
that's true. That is, yeah.
Yeah, this is going on even just on Xbox, only $20. Yeah, this looks great, man. Love a good flying game. Love a good flying game every once in a while, and it has good combat and everything. I am in. I'm in.
Yeah. And there's no slowdown. Like the frame rate is pretty slick throughout the whole thing, even with just a bunch of other missiles and planes and shit flying around. It's all slick and fast, and yeah, it doesn't waste your time at all. It's great.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Looks really cool.
I have 2 honorable mentions.
All right.
You guys,
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. So do I.
yeah.
Actually, I could probably have like 19, but
You get to pick 2.
okay, I'm gonna go with one that has a very similar look actually to Sky Rogue, which is why I'm gonna go with this one first. It's called Art of Rally. It is,
Heard of that?
yeah, it's a top-down racing game, a rally game. Essentially, it looks like you are playing a diorama of a racetrack, but everything's based on time. So you're not racing with other cars. You're just doing the tracks on your own. Different vehicles, different locations. You're going to go to Africa. You're going to go to Europe. You're going to go to South America, Asia, all these types of things. And it looks very, very simple on the just at a quick look. But it handles really not complicated, but really sort of semi-arcadey realistic. You hit a puddle and you're going too fast, your car might spin out. You're going too fast around a turn, you're going to fall off a cliff. You're going too fast through a gravel area, you might spin out. It's all about sort of how things feel. And Art of Rally is just a really, really fun game. It was on Game Pass, sadly, within the last month or two. It was taken off of that. But I would say take a quick look at it and watch a trailer and listen to the amazing music that comes along with it, because it has an amazing soundtrack. And highly, highly recommend it. One of my favorite racing games of all time at this point. I absolutely love it.
Nice. What's your second one? Or no, wait, no. We'll go around. Nave, go ahead
Sure.
with your first honorable mention.
I want to shout out Darkest Dungeon.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Darkest Dungeon. I'm hitting with David this whole time. But, Darkest Dungeon is sadistic. It is abusive. It is so fun. This game is a turn-based role-playing game where you keep and manage a party of 4 different characters procedurally generated. You can name them whatever you want, and that makes it even more cruel when they die. And you go and you
and they
you
will
delve.
die. They will die.
They're gonna die. Don't get attached to anybody. You use these characters and you delve into the dark dungeon and you try to get out of there alive and with your sanity intact. And this is one of the first games where there's a sanity meter. And so this is such an interesting mechanic. The more stressful the game gets, the darker the dungeon gets, the less light you have, the more scared your characters become. And then once that meter fills up the first time, they either overcome their fear or they succumb to it and they get an ailment. And that ailment is something you have to play around for the rest of the map, essentially. And the game has a really cool settlement area where you manage your characters' stress levels and try to help them unwind. You buy characters, make weapons and stuff like that. With the whole goal of ascending to the darkest point into the dungeon, which is it's impossible. I've never done it, but this game is great.
I was just gonna ask, have you ever beat this game?
Oh no. It's always one really painful wipe that makes me go, okay, I have to put this game down for a while.
Yeah, I have on my Switch alone. I have this on Steam as well because I got it, I think, just after it released on Steam, and then I got it a couple years ago on Switch because I'm like, I got to take this game with me. It's actually really good on Switch. I would say controls with the mouse and keyboard are definitely easier than using like a controller or something because there's lots of like click this icon and that per character and whatever, right? But on Switch alone, I have 170 something hours on this game, and I don't even think I've come close to the end. And yet I've told my wife about this before because she's noticed like, oh, you're playing that again. Oh, you're playing that again. And this is over the course of the last like 4 years. It's always installed. I never uninstall this off my Switch. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what it is about this game, but it always whoops my ass at a certain point, whether it's 10 hours in, 5 hours in, 20 hours, like whatever that campaign allows me to survive. And yet I still keep coming back. Always. I don't know what it is. It just beats the shit out of me, but I love it. I don't know.
It is incredibly well made.
Yeah, it's really, really I mean, it's easy to feel like you're overwhelmed and your whole party just gets wiped, but I also don't know that I feel like it's cheap either. I think it's still fair at the same time. But because it's so difficult, I don't know. There's something about it where I'm just like, I know I can do it. And then I can't.
It's that feeling when you finally get out of a bad run and you're just like, oh, thank God I didn't lose everyone. I only lost 2 of them. You know what I mean? It's
I only lost half my party. Yeah.
It's so good.
I talked about this game a lot in our most recent episode about difficult games, and I bitched about it really hard because like it's when it's good, it's so good and it's so satisfying and meaty, but then when it's bad, like it's really bad.
It goes bad so fast.
Yeah.
Because you grind those motherfuckers up to like level 3 or something like that, and then they all die. And then it's just like, well, I don't want to fucking play this game anymore and grind more motherfuckers up to level 3 just for them to die. Because
the important thing is that like everything is salvageable. And so even though you lost the characters you put a bunch of time into, you will get characters that just start out. And you will eventually start getting characters that just start out at level 3. And you're like, okay, thank God I've got another leper. Which is like my favorite. I love the lepers.
Yeah,
Dude,
lepers are sweet.
Well, fuck, my first honorable mention was the exact opposite of that. It's a short hike. You're just
great game.
You're just a little bird just and you're just walking around this island because you're going, I think it was like to a summer camp or some shit like that, and it's just
something like that. Yeah.
Just chill, and you're just exploring, and you find feathers, and you get sweet hats, and you do all sorts of little not chores. What's the other word I'm looking for? Favors,
like
for
little tasks and favors. Yeah.
Helping out little people around the island, and it's great. You just explore and like fly around and glide around, and it's pretty short too. It's pretty good.
With awesome like chill music and everything too. The music is awesome in it, which helps.
And it's all like PS1. Well, yeah, kind of like PS1, like
that era of graphics and everything. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
it's all pixely and
a short hike is a great like. If you're looking for something chill that's only like a couple hours or a few hours, that's got to be up on the list too, for sure.
What's your next one?
So my next one is going to go back to, I mentioned back at the beginning of this episode that Thomas Was Alone was like the first like indie game that really got me into indie games. But I would say this one is very close behind. Also 12, 15 years old at this point. It's called Fez. I don't know if a lot of people have...
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it nowadays, but at the time, Fez was the indie game like of all time, or like the one that stood out over anything. And it's super mind-bending. It's essentially you start off as like a 2D character in a 2D world. You get a fez, like a magical hat, essentially, and then you can turn the world on its axis in 4 different directions, essentially. You know, let's say there's a platform you can't jump to because it's too far away. Well, turn the world to the left a little bit, and now you can hop on that. Turn it back to the right, you can hop on to the next one. That's a very, very simple way of putting it, but this game is, again, it's very simple on the surface, but very, very complicated and takes a lot of brain power, I think, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, but to figure out some of the puzzles and unlock some of the secrets. And honestly, it's one of those games where you could literally have grid paper beside you and draw out where you are and where things are and how you could possibly find them, because it's so complicated, but in a good way. And it's crazy satisfying when you actually find and solve something. And it has its own like decipherable language in it as well. Like it's got so many layers to it. Made by one or two guys, I think, way back when indie games weren't even a thing. And Fez is awesome. I think it deserves to be like in every Hall of Fame you could possibly think of. The only reason why it's honorable mention is because it's older, and honestly, I think like, you know, games do similar things now, but also there's so many great games that I think people could find now that are great, that I wanted to make it easier to find. So I talked about the other ones more. Anyways, Fez is awesome. Fez.
Yeah.
The only thing I think about when I hear about this game, because I never played it, but this was the game where the creator went insane, right?
I think there
Phil
were
Fish.
Yeah, exactly. There
I
was
don't know
supposed to
what's
be like,
going on.
I don't know what the full thing was, but I do know there was like problems with him and the other guy that were making the game. I don't remember what the full story is, but
I don't know why
regardless,
I'm thinking he said he wants to burn game developers or something.
yeah,
Something
no,
like
there
that.
there
I don't
was
remember.
there was something intense and crazy like that. Like there was there was something there where something about when after the game was released, whether it wasn't reviews, because I think the game got pretty damn high
Yeah.
reviews and reception and everything. There was something about the industry that was really ticking him off, and he just said like, well, we're going in a bad direction, we shouldn't do this and this, and then he just sort of stopped making games. I'm like, no, you made a masterpiece, what are you doing? Anyways. Yeah, you're right, there was something like that though.
And bummer.
Yeah,
I was wondering if
exactly.
that was the same game, because I was looking at screenshots and yeah, confusing.
Yeah, puzzle platformer essentially, but a very, very deep one, even though on the surface it looks like it's not at all. It's great. Also, again, great music.
Well, speaking of great music, my second honorable mention is gonna be Cult of the Lamb.
Nice.
Now,
Hell yeah.
okay, thank God. I was like this whole time I was like, wonder if I'm gonna say one that they've already talked about. That'd be a bummer. But Cult of the Lamb's music's so good that I got the double vinyl coming in the mail, I think sometime mid-February.
Nice. Yeah,
And so
great tunes.
this game is it's really great if you like roguelikes. We've talked a lot about roguelikes. Roguelike and the indie genre kind of go they interlace fingers
Yeah.
erotically even. And so Cult of the Lamb is very similar to The Binding of Isaac. I would describe it as The Binding of Isaac meets not Animal Crossing, but Harvest Moon. Let's say Harvest Moon. Easy.
Yeah, I'd say more Harvest Moon. Yeah, that makes sense.
So half of the game is a dungeon, like a dungeon crawly Binding of Isaac roguelike, where you're running around shooting, stabbing, fucking doing all kinds of things in that dungeon. And whenever you leave, you have to manage your cult made of different animals that you find inside of the dungeons, and sometimes bought from this spider that tied up the thing. But we don't talk about that guy. It's really cute because you get to customize and you get to name all of your characters, and it does have Steam or Twitch integration, where I think you can make different followers name the characters as well, or make them how they look. So there are some people I was watching stream, I got to put my own OC in their game. But I absolutely love naming things. It's one of my favorite things to do. Is just whatever off the top of my head. So I loved running around and seeing Chris Chan and Arson and Billy Mays here and stuff like that, just running around worshiping me. It's pretty fun stuff, and it has a pretty robust upgrade system and like technology tree, kind of Age of Empires style, where there is an end game and you do reach it at kind of a quick pace if you're into that side more than the roguelike side. But the game is competent on both fronts, and it looks awesome. The art style and aesthetic are amazing, and the soundtrack is awesome as well. So it is just a very chill vibe while you're doing some very violent things to people who don't deserve it.
Nice.
And that goes right into my next one, because I was going with Ape Out.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, I forgot about this game. It's so good. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically Hotline Miami, but with a gorilla. But yeah, at the beginning of each level, you break out of a cage, and you basically just have to find your way out of whatever building you're in. But there's people hunting you with shotguns and like flamethrowers and shit, and you can like shove people and they'll just fucking melt into this fucking pile of blood against the wall, or like you can grab
just
people
like explode.
exactly, yeah, or you can like grab people or like doors and shit like that. Use them as like a shield against people with the guns, and there's almost no mechanics to it, but there's a lot of strategy to it because I mean you have to find your way around all of these people while not like getting their attention or anything like that, or like when you do get their attention, you have to panic and figure out, oh, how the fuck do I get out of this shit? And all the while too, yeah, there's like it's just like the chillest like old timey jazz music, and it's
I was
and
just
at
gonna
times,
say the craziest part is this like wacky, not wacky, but it's sort of like improvised jazz almost
yeah,
in the background. So like you'll start a level like you said, and if you're sneaking around so that people can't see you yet, it's really light. It'll be like tapping
yeah,
on the cymbals or whatever. And then when something happens where you get people's attention, it just like ramps up, and like every time you were like, let's say you grab a door like you said and you throw it against someone, you'll hear like the cymbals crash in the
yeah,
background,
dude.
and it like matches up the music for some of the actions that you do, and you really feel like you're like moving with the music, and the music's moving with you. And that was like my favorite part. It was just like crazy jazz that feels like it's improvised, and like I don't know where they came up with that idea, but somehow it just fits so well.
It's yeah, and there's a lot of different unlockable levels that you'll get. Gosh, dude, it's so much fun just being just a violent, angry ape, just blasting dudes apart, and yeah, it's so much fun. It's so good.
And an easy pick up and play one too, and it's not super long. Like it's maybe a couple hours, which is fun too. Which 100% worth playing this game too. It's awesome. Oh man, I totally forgot about this. Yes. Oh, now I want to reinstall this.
So this is another Devolver Digital joint. I wonder how many of the games we talked about were Devolver Digital, because Cult of the Lamb is.
Cult of the Lamb is, yeah, exactly.
Also, for the achievement hunters out there, one unobtainable one. So be careful out there, boys.
Oh, all right.
For Ape Out or Cult of the Lamb?
For Ape Out.
Oh,
For escape subject for arcade. For some reason, it doesn't work. Makes me sad.
Crazy.
Well, that fucking sucks, dude.
It only affects me. But
well, fuck, man, that's it. That's every single indie hidden gem there is. There are no other indie hidden gems.
Easy for you to say. Jeez.
But yeah, somehow, if there are more out there, feel free to get a hold of any of us at Superpod Saga or superpodsaga.com. Hit us up. Tell us where we can find more of your indie hidden gems. What about Dave? Where can people find you and hit you up about anything or indie hidden gems?
Yeah, easiest way. You can find my personal account at Dave Petro on Twitter, but really it's a mix of games and stuff that's not game related. Anyways, Remember 64 Show. That's the easiest way to find me if you search that on any social media. You know, there's a couple of us that are on the podcast, but I run the account, and that's where you can find me. The wonderful Nave over here was on the show a couple times, and we had a good time playing through a couple of N64 games, which was great.
yes.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna have we played Thrak, but we got to play Thrak 2 soon. That's gonna have to come up sometime this year.
Oh, I can't wait for the fucking bat signal for that game to show up.
It's on the list. I literally have it on a list of something that is going to happen this year for sure.
Nave, even though it's your like third time on the show, where can people find you?
You can find me on Aaron and Tommy's Super Podcast Saga. This is where my new home is, apparently. But I'm one half of Gaming Together, a cooperative podcast where we talk about multiplayer games, and I run the Twitter over at Game Together Pod. And we have an Instagram where we share memes and funny videos where I'm screaming and Philip's trying to shut me up. But I'm screaming too loud. I can't hear him. Somebody stop me.
Fuck, we need to do more stuff like that on our Instagram. I usually just post pics of like, here's this video game, and then here's this video game, and then here's a new episode. Like that's really all our fucking Instagram is. I need to do more memes and just fucking scream at my phone. Turn on Crawl Show. Fuck. Well, yep, that's it. Yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a rating or a comment or something. And yeah, if you really, really enjoyed the episode, feel free to leave a tip on the Superpod Saga PayPal. It's just Superpod Saga or at Superpod Saga. I don't know how PayPal works, but our Patreon as well. It's just $2, $4, or $6 a month. That is it. Goodbye.
Get on out of here.
See ya. Thanks for having me
Come on,
on. Bye.
Come get.